Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our 5th BITESIZE webinar. When we started the BITESIZE, it was a way of celebrating the history of the 7 decades of the conference. But in these turbulent days, it has become so much more. It is an anchor for the start of every month, in the same way the Oxford Farming Conference itself has been an anchor to the start of every year, connecting with others across our great industry on 75 occasions. We have all been finding new ways, our own ways, through these challenging days, staying within ever-changing regulations, and juggling family, work, and attempting to have fun in new and innovative ways. Reflecting on all of this, I am delighted to announce the theme for 2021 is Business as Unusual. On the same theme, we are delighted to be bringing you today from our new platform, Remo. As a conference, we have had to find new and innovative ways to operate, and we hope that Remo will give you a more interactive experience at the end of this BITESIZE, where you can stay online and enjoy face-to-face or camera-to-camera conversations with other attendees. I know diaries are always busy. Unfortunately, we can't say we're in London, so can't make the meeting in Edinburgh anymore because we're all available online. But it would be great to get a chance to speak to some of you at the end to hear your thoughts on the session and where you think the industry is going. As with all our bite-sized sessions, CPD points are available from Pig Pro, Dairy Pro, Basis and Facts. Just email secretariat@ofc.org.uk to verify your attendance. There is a Q&A tab you'll see hopefully on your screens, and that is where to ask your questions. We are making changes, as you see, with Remo, and as we've developed the bite-sized series, and we're introducing things step by step. So upvoting won't actually be used today, but we will, because we're concentrating on the networking capability. My fellow director, the fabulous Sarah Mukherjee, CEO of IEMA, is chairing today. I was very grateful to Sarah for stepping in at short notice last month when I was under the weather. Our 3 speakers, Shekhar, Daniel and Conrad, bring a wealth of international experience to today's session, covering India, Africa, Central America and Asia at large. And Conrad is no stranger to OFC, having delivered the Frank Parkinson Lecture in 2017. I'm very pleased to hand over to Sarah to introduce her panel.
Thanks very much indeed, Sally, and a very warm welcome from me here in the kitchen in Hertfordshire. Now, I think that when we all as directors decided to keep the Oxford movement alive and kicking through the pandemic by choosing these webinars, these bite-sized webinars, we had no idea just how resonant so many of these titles would be today. I was delighted to have the 1980s. Not only am I an Essex girl at heart with big shoulder pads and big hair, but also it was the decade that I went up to Oxford myself. And the paradox of plenty, again, is just as relevant now as it was then. When I was at the BBC as a presenter for Farming Today and environment correspondent, the one subject we continued to return to was how and why is it that farmers appear to be making very little money from the goods and services that they produced? Why was it that wherever you went in the world, farmers were finding new and innovative ways to subsidize the food that every single person on the planet needed to eat and to drink? Why is it that we spend a £5 on a coffee in a coffee house in London, but the dairy farmer and the coffee farmer who go to make up the absolutely essential parts of that coffee are struggling to pay the rent? Well, as Sally said, if anybody can begin to work their way towards the answers to these questions, it's the 3 amazing speakers that we have for you today. And I'd like to start off by asking Shekhar BHADSAVLE, who is known as the godfather of Indian agro-environmentalism and agro-tourism and agro-farming, to join us first for his presentation. Shekhar, over to you.
Hello, namaste from India, and because of my language barriers, and I would like you to understand, so I'm going to read my presentation, but you can see the pictures. This paradox of plenty in agriculture implies that the bumper crop harvest by the farmer brings lesser profit to them. But in modern day situation, there are other negative issues attached to the objective of harvesting plenty with bumper profits, and they are unhealthy soil, problematic environment, and unhappy farmer. The healthy food with sustainability of production is equally important as that of producing plenty. And healthy food is possible only from healthy soil. But modern day agronomic practices, which you see in this top slide with a big machine that is with a disc harrow, it's plowing and you can see the dust blowing. This modern day agronomic practices for producing plenty is causing irreversible damage to the health of our soil. And this is likely to deprive our young ones. As you can see in this another slide here, these young ones are likely to get deprived of the healthy soil for the future generations. Healthy soil and climate smart agriculture practices only can make farming sustainable. So these are the 3 slides, and my next set of slides will show you there is severe erosion from all the arable land. And this arable land, please go to the next slide, set of next slides. There is severe erosion from all the arable land, and that this, according to scientists, we lose equivalent to Brazil into oceans each year by water and wind erosion. Again, this is due to the greed of producing plenty, where you can see even a small farmer of India, he uses this little small machine called power tiller handheld tractor, and you can see in the middle picture, in the central picture, you can see how much beautiful soil, beautiful silt that particular land is losing. And in this another picture, you can see the 3 glasses. The same water was taken and the alum was applied. The silt has settled in, and we measured it was 20% silt we lose each time we try to take a rice crop, even by the small farmer. So this is the severe erosion that we are experiencing, the whole world is experiencing. Let's go to the next slide. The land and the soil where most of the food is produced has started dying. This is something very important. This death of soil is caused by at many places in the world due to overexploitation and greed to produce plenty. You can see in this picture here, lot of cattle egrate. This is a picture from Thailand where we were trying to teach our technique. These cattle egrates indicate anaerobic condition and production of lots of maggots. So this soil is actually dying, and you can see here this soil is actually, because these big heavy machines that they go into these big machines to do harvesting of rice, they really destroy the soil structure, and that is also a serious problem. Let's go to the next slide. So agriculture, instead of helping manage carbon sequestration, it is contributor to the tune of 30%, the carbon emission. And this carbon emission, 30% carbon emission caused by agriculture can be reversed only by no-till regenerative method of agriculture. And that our team has developed a method called SRT, Saguna rice technique, that has huge potential to transfer massive quantities of atmospheric carbon into soil. This set of practices designed by our team has a solution to all these problems. And these problems, such as the farmer, the land, and the environment, all can become happy while the cost of production of food is dramatically reduced. These are some of the pictures here. This use of tractor means degenerative, and use of no-till like SRT method is a regenerative method of farming. And you can see the happy farmers. So what we have already been told by great people like Albert Einstein, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking here, degenerative, with the same thinking that created them in the first place. So we need to go from flat earth theory to round earth theory. So this next slide, please. Next slide. So this is what is happening. That no, the previous slide, please. The movement is started. Our technique that we started, this is zero-till, no-till farming method. The movement has started. 3,000 farmers in our state has adopted it, and they all have become happy. And that is what is most important. Thus, I want to really confirm here that SRT resolves the paradox of plenty. This is something very important that this technique has developed. Let's go to the next slide, please. There is one more problem in agriculture, which I noticed in my past 45 years of farming career, that able youth is not interested in coming into farming. And this able youth is not coming, they are losing interest. That's because it's too monotonous. The farming job is too monotonous. Vagaries of climate change are affecting him negatively. It's less remunerative. And the most importantly, there is no dignity for doing this work. So the farmer is what if we don't get able youth, naturally the farmer is getting old, and agrotourism is a solution to this. You can see this is a unique ride that we give on our farm. We call it WB ride, water buffalo ride. This water buffalo ride, while we have a dairy, while we have a farming. So this is, then we have guests who have been eating groundnut, peanut all their life, but they didn't know where the peanut came from. So they find it very happy moment. And our city brothers and sisters, they didn't know how solar energy is converted into into gold. So through photosynthesis, this is something that we have been doing, and these are the solutions that we have got to protect paradox of plenty. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shekhar. And I think every farmer, wherever they are in the world watching this, will have been nodding, as Sally and I were, at the synergies. There are the issues are exactly the same wherever you are in the world. It's protecting your soil, protecting your crops, protecting your herds, and finding ways of reconnecting and connecting with your communities as well. And I can see why it's not for nothing that they call you the godfather of agro tourism in India, and we have a lot to learn. So thank you so much. Thank you. And interruptions to Wi-Fi. So thank you very much for joining us from India as well for that. I've got 3 words that came up as I was writing for all three presentations, and they were value, dignity, and resilience. And I wonder if I could perhaps unpack a little bit of those for each of you. Firstly, around value. Now, you all make the point that in different ways that farmers need to, in some way, discover the value of their own products, whether it's for Shekhar, it's adding value for an urbanized population to agro tourism, whether for Conrad it's the power of that computing power that allows you to have a greater say in your own market, or with Daniel the value within a system that's already there. It's just understanding where the value sits in terms of external audiences. So I wondered if I could start by asking you all, how optimistic are you that those different bits of value that you've identified can be used to really begin to get the balance right in terms of dignity for farmers and power for farmers? I wonder, Shekhar, perhaps could we start with you? Oh, I think you're... Okay.
I don't...
Hi, Shekhar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't get the question properly.
Of course. So the question is, you mentioned very powerfully about agro-tourism and how farmers can get value back for themselves through...
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
I suppose the question is, how confident are you that this is a way that farmers can really bring some value back?
Thank you. That's a good question. I would like to answer that. And value, I have a word for that, is dignity. That means when farmer is doing such an important job for the rest of the community, at least in our country, in India, the farmer is looked down upon. He doesn't get, when he comes out in the society, he doesn't get that very valuable status in the community, in the program, or in the society. If you go to a bank, the bankers say no, farmers cheat for the money. When you go to a government office, the farmer is in the last position in a row. So to get that value, the farmer himself should feel confident, and that confidence can come when a city brother or a sister, a dignified person, comes to my farm and he says, wow, this fish is good, or this mango tree is wonderful, or this field of rice looks beautiful. So, and when farmer tells the name of the fish or the name of a wild plant which is useful for food, then he becomes a professor, he becomes a dignified person. So this gives confidence to the farmer, and a self-confident person in the society becomes dignified automatically.
I wonder if I could just ask a question from one of our viewers, from Will, who has asked whether the Indian government is encouraging farmers to look at regenerative methods, the sort of methods you are using, Shekhar.
A very small change is happening. Initially, right now, our universities, agricultural universities in our country, they are talking about it, but they have not accepted my technique. They don't consider me a scientist because I don't get paid from anybody as a scientist. And my team works in the field, and our fields are our laboratories. So there is a change, but the change is very slow at the government level, at the university level. But at the farmers level, the acceptance is logarithmic. The movement has begun. I started on my own 5 years ago. There were 30 farmers. Now today we have got 3,000 farmers. And this is an effort done by only me and my small team and my family. So farmers are changing. They have accepted it. They have taken it over. Farmers, some of the farmers are able to speak the language of carbon sequestration, carbon incentive, climate smart agriculture, and they know these terms. They know that, they understand the concept of it. but it's taking time for the scientists and the government to accept it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've had a question from Olivia asking about whether farmers should be paid for this natural capital, this regeneration, or is it something that farmers should just do because it's the right thing for their soils and for their land? So I wonder, Shekhar, may I start with you? Should farmers be paid to do regeneration, or should they do it because it's the right thing?
Yeah, carbon incentive is a idea which is not known to the farmers yet. In those 3,000 farmers who have already adopted it, they have adopted it, and the movement has begun because there are inherent built-in factors such as the dependency on weather, the dependency on labor, the dependency on the tractor. For the farmer is gone, it has become zero. His cost of production is reduced to half. His drudgery has reduced to 70%. These are the good enough factors why, you know, there is a curve of learning, 15%, 70%, 15%. The 15%, the early adopters, they have been adopting it quickly, and now they are becoming example in their own local area. So carbon incentive will come later. The farmers are already changing. They are not waiting for anybody to come and tell them anything new about it.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar. Sorry to cut you off, but we are very close to time. Conrad,